A week ago, I watched a video from Star Wars Explained called Kylo Ren and the Art of Kintsugi in the Rise of Skywalker featuring Sky Talker's podcast. Besides discussing the Japanese art form known as Kintsugi, the video discussed how the art form is present in Kylo's helmet and how it fits in thematically with the rest of the Skywalker sagas, particularly the sequel trilogy. This led me to think of Reylo. I'm Jon Berry, and in today's episode of Star Wars Talk, I will be discussing the thematic implications of shipping Kylo Ren and Rey. A while back I wrote a script for a video where I would express my thoughts on shipping. I never made it. So expect to see that script released on Patreon in a few days. In case you're wondering, Patreon is a platform that allows fans to directly support their favorite creators. By supporting me on Patreon for as low as $1 a month, not only are you supporting me and allowing me to create new and better content, but you also get access to my scripts, my bloopers, and any other cut content from my channel, such as a script that never became a video. In case you don't know what shipping is the practice of normally fans pairing two characters together as a romantic couple. This can happen before they become a couple on a show. That does happen from time to time. Star vs. the Forces of Evil, I never really watched it, but I know that Starco, that was one of those. The characters were paired before they became a couple, which was like the second to last episode, but regardless, that's an example of it. Oh, another type of ship is where the two characters never become a couple. The creators decide not to pursue that. Think Ezra and Sabine from Star Wars Rebels. I know a lot of people ship them, even I did to a certain extent, but that was not the direction that Dave Filoni and the other showrunners for Star Wars Rebels chose to go with their characters, making them more like siblings rather than a couple, which still is a good dynamic to explore, but that's kind of out of the scope of this video. Just wanted to provide you guys with an example. I also don't consider it an official ship. Oh, not official ship, but I don't consider it shipping when the two characters are introduced as a couple. Now this can be kind of harder to see in some cases, especially among main characters, but it does happen where the characters are introduced as a couple. I can't actually think of an example off the top of my head for Star Wars. Maybe the best bet would be when you meet two characters' parents, if you actually meet them. So probably if one of the scenes from Attack of the Clones showed up, Padme's parents. That wouldn't be a ship because her parents are introduced as a couple already. Now that was in a deleted scene, so it's not the best example I can think of off the top of my head, but I just wanted to provide you some examples so you understand what shipping is. I should also state that Reylo is my least favorite ship. I don't support it even after looking at it thematically. I do think there are better ships between the sequel trilogy characters than Kylo and Rey. My main concern is such a ship will produce an unhealthy relationship, which really is not a good thing. However, shipping these two characters will best fit thematically of what we know of the Skywalker saga and its overarching story so far, focusing on the sequel trilogy of course. Before I explain the thematic implications I'm frequently speaking of, if you find yourself enjoying this video at any time, please leave a like. Also, to stay up to date on all my stuff, YouTube and non-YouTube, consider checking me out on Facebook or Twitter. You can also join my Discord server or take a look at my website. All those links are in the description. Additionally, I want to hear what are your thoughts on this video and the thematic implications of Reylo. And also, what did you think really of Reylo in general, or do you think? Like, do you support it, do you not support it? Let me know, I would like to hear from you. Of all the potential sequel trilogy ships, it is Reylo that best fits thematically, as I've already stated. Across the entire Skywalker saga, there are two themes that stand out. That of redemption and that of balance. In my opinion, only when Ben is redeemed, in other words, Bendemption, would Reylo work out as a healthy ship. And in that case, it wouldn't be even called Reylo. But then again, what would you call it otherwise? Bay? Ren? I don't know. Ben and Rey don't really fit together name-wise that well for a ship name. But it is what shipping Kylo and Rey, so what the ship represents, that is important. That being balance. Reylo would represent the balance between the light and dark sides of the Force. The dark and the light coexisting as one. And just to further elaborate there a little bit, marriage is often described as, the two becoming one. That kind of fits with, the two conflicting natures of the Force being actually one Force. Yin and Yang, and I am pronouncing that correctly, may be a very adept way of describing the concept of balance as a whole in Star Wars, not just in Reylo. In case you don't know, Yin and Yang is a concept of dualism in ancient Chinese philosophy. It describes how seemingly opposite or contrary forces may in fact be complementary, interconnected, or interdependent in the natural world, and how they may give rise to each other as they interrelate to one another. I'm no expert in ancient Chinese philosophies, but if you want to learn more, check out the video, The Hidden Meaning of Yin and Yang on TED-Ed. It's where I got my information about Yin and Yang. The main thing that is important, though, is how what seems conflicting is in fact complementary. The TED-Ed video actually uses Luke and Vader as their pop culture example, which does kind of fit with the light side and the dark side. Speaking of that, Yin and Yang is, in Star Wars, literally the light side and the dark side. Or if you will, the Ashla and the Bogan. If you look at the legend symbols for each side of the Force, you will find the predominant design of the other in the center of the other side. Though it is much smaller, but you can still clearly make it out, which represents how they're related to each other. One symbol in canon that represents the Force being Yin and Yang is the Prime Jedi mirror from Star Wars The Last Jedi. There is also the symbol that appeared in the Mortis arc of the Clone Wars, which is even more similar in design to Yin and Yang than the Prime Jedi mirror. Oh, mosaic. I think mosaic. I don't know why I'm saying mirror. Sorry about that. These symbols represent the light side and dark sides of the Force, and how despite being different, and maybe even drastically different if you will, they complement each other and even need each other to a certain extent. In other words, balance. Yin represents negative, passive, and female principles in nature, in other words the dark side, while Yang represents active, positive, and male principles in nature, in other words the light side. Now take note that Yin Yang you saw has male and female aspect in the representation, which does not line up with Reylo, nor our own Western ways of understanding male and female. We would flip them, put the male with dark side, and the female with what represents the light side. That's just how our Western cultures are oriented, especially historically. If you take a look at, women were generally viewed as, more petite, if you will. I don't know a good way of explaining it, but you can look it up on your own. There's historic reasons why, cultural reasons that are shifting, but we still get them present in today's society still. But not to get all preachy on you on that kind of stuff. So as I said, that the male-female aspect does not line up with our Western culture or with Reylo, but that really is not important. It really isn't. What is that Rey and Ben are very different individuals, yet they complement each other in the Force. Ben, as Kylo, is the dark side of the Force, and Rey is the light side of the Force. But each have an aspect of the other in them. Kylo, as Ben, is pulled toward the light, and Rey has also experienced the pull of the dark. Since Kylo Ren actually has two names, his dark side name and then his birth name, which you could say is his light side name. It's even clearer there. Not as clear with Rey, because as far as we know, she only has one name. Another thing that is kind of interesting is that they both have rejected the dogmatic views of the Jedi and the Sith and understanding the Force and the relationship between the light side and the dark side, hinting at they being closer to the concept of Yin and Yang than previous Force users in each other separately and together, but also just that they're just closer to balance in general. Is this a perfect analogy? Probably not, but nothing will be exactly perfect. So I think this is probably one of the closest analogies we can get to, as Buddhism and other East Asian religions and philosophies, including Yin and Yang, did have an influence on George Lucas when he was developing the Force and what it was. It is very likely what we are seeing in the sequel trilogy between Rey and Kylo, so those of us who pick up on Reylo, even if we don't support it, is just a continuation of these influences, a natural continuation of them. It is also equally likely that J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson themselves decided to take a look at Yin and Yang and the other influences on George Lucas as their own inspirations for their expansion and exploration of the Force in the sequel trilogy. I actually think it's probably both, and no coincidence that we see Reylo, and why Reylo makes sense from a thematic perspective. That concludes this episode of Star Wars Talk. So consider subscribing to my channel if you enjoyed this video and you want to stay up to date on all my latest content, Star Wars and more. And to be sure that YouTube actually sends you notifications if you want them, please consider ringing the bell next to the subscription button below. Also consider checking out the video or playlist that will be on screen. And thank you for watching, and as always, have a good day, a good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you always.